once we start focusing on the things that make us great, we're not going to be so affected by all the insecure conversations and opinions from others that don't want to understand or uplift you.
Listen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Keith. I am the editor-in-chief of The Quintessential Gentleman, and today we are talking to Mr. Kelvin Harrison Jr. and Mr. Aaron Pierre. These are the stars of MLK-X it's Genius, MLK-X, National Geographic, man. How you guys doing?
We're good,
We're
man.
good, man. We're good. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I have to go straight out the gate. This is probably one of the best reimagined type of docuseries I've ever seen, man. And
Let's
I
go.
am like a
That's a big
documentary
statement.
person. I'm telling you guys, I watched all 8 episodes. I technically could talk to y'all for 2 hours, but I know we don't have that time. But I just want to give you guys your flowers. Phenomenal job. And I just want to come out the gate and say that. So congratulations to you. And I can't wait for everybody to see it, man.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you, man.
That makes me so happy, man. Thank you.
Of course, man. Of course. So getting into it, you both take on 2 of, I would say, one of the most prominent Black men in America. Some would say the world, especially on our side. And I mean, that's no easy, feat. And I want to know, what was it about the script that made you interested in taking on this role? I'll start with you, Kelvin, first.
I think it was just how human they were. I think when you're in school and you're learning about icons and figures and you get to go on civil rights trips and you see these big statues and monuments of them, you immediately feel small. You immediately feel like it's unattainable. You immediately feel like, how great are they that I could never become? And I think one of the interesting things about as that we get to do it in our profession, but also what I love about the show is that it's literally labeled genius. So it does the exact same thing, and then it strips it down from the beginning all the way to the end. And so what I love was like I got to know who Martin's family was. Who was his mother? Who was his father? What were his siblings like? What did they believe in? Why did they name him what they named him? Was Martin scared? What did Martin have crushes? How did Martin fall in love? These things that I find relatable, that I see when I'm looking at my father, my uncles, my brothers, my sisters, my extended family, my chosen family, and it not only lights a fire under me to say that I can do anything that I want to do, and that feeling the sense of imposter syndrome or fear or anything like that. It's just a human experience, but it's how we deal with it. It's what we choose to take on as our part of ourselves, and what we choose to overcome, and how we do it. That makes it pretty remarkable. And that's what I got from the script. That's what I got from episode 1, episode uno.
Episode 1 had me locked in, and then I will tell you, 3 o'clock in the morning to finish. Okay, I was not playing about finishing it. I had to finish it, so I get it. How about you, Aaron?
Man, I think for me, speaking on Malcolm X, I viewed him as the genius that he is. I viewed him as this larger than life, heroic, iconic, legendary man. And I think what this script gave me the opportunity to do, as somebody who viewed him as that, is understand his humanity and understand who this man was, arguably separate to how legendary and iconic he is and was and always will be. And I've said before that actually the exploration of his humanity, the exploration of him in his day-to-day life actually made me revere him even more so. That as a man, as a human being, he had the capacity to achieve and accomplish all that he achieved before 40.
It's something interesting. Like, there's a fine line between idolatry and respect. You know what I mean? And I find that like it's easy to idolize people and just put them on these pedestals. But what the real profound thing is how do we honor them and respect them, and how do we do that for each other? And that's what I think this show does really well. It takes this notion of separation and it brings it back to us. And then it says, well, how do we respect and how do we respect ourselves as we navigate our blackness in this thing called life?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you both, you know, Aaron, I saw your brother, it came out 2022, phenomenal.
Oh,
Another one,
bro.
amazing. And then Kelvin, I mean, at this point, I don't even know where it was that I first saw it. I don't know if it's Ways or if it's Loose or whatever, but just phenomenal, right? But I love how you both embody characters. And I'm wondering, and I'll come to you, Aaron, for this. What was it like for you to mentally prepare? Because ultimately you are still, you know, black, and then seeing these things, being a black man, and then going back into time and being prepared to kind of portray these characters who've had to deal with so much.
Wow, that's a brilliant question, man, and I appreciate it too. I think for me, uh, I think my sort of my research for approaching this role coincided with how I protected my well-being as well. I think, I began with his autobiography. I went on to the documentary, which was, led and guided by Dr. Betty Shabazz. And I think learning so much about this man and how he centered and grounded himself, I actually leaned into that to strengthen me and guide me through my journey of portraying him. I think additionally, I think it was really important that I did the things that I know make me happy and bring me peace during this 6 month duration of filming because when I showed up and when Kel showed up, we showed up with the intention of honoring these men to the very best of our capacity and abilities and honoring their legacies and their history. So we were leaving it all on the floor every day for 6 months, and we felt the enormity of those coats every single day going into work. And in additionally to that, we held each other, we supported each other, the cast, the crew, we held each other, we loved on each other, we checked in with each other, and I think that's so crucial. I think it's critical, especially when you're dealing with subject matter that is this important and this close to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. How about you, Kelvin?
And I'm sorry, I got lost in his answer.
Your mental preparation for this
Oh,
role.
yes. Yes. I think it was for me, I just wanted to come in with openness and um a recognition that I'm only human and I am only where I'm at and I cannot try to get to the end just yet. I have to go on the journey. And I felt that from my research, that's where Martin kind of sat, which was um I'm only man. I am only the son of Daddy King and only a child of God. I am only the husband to the amazing Coretta Scott King. I'm only the father of my four beautiful children. I am only these things. But how do I allow myself to stay open enough to listen, to be curious, and to take the information I've got and try to embody the what I'm learning about my people and represent them as best I can. And in some ways, I find that it is part of our job in a lot of ways, is we take on characters and we represent humanity. And it's you just kind of have to take it day by day. And that's kind of how I approached it. I was like, there isn't yes, listen, I'm not trying to say any, listen, I'm not even close to Dr. King, but there's something about the function of how he moved that I find really relatable and that we all have in us, which is day by day, how am I being my best self? How am I listening? How am I respecting one another? And how am I being open to what this thing called life is?
Yeah, no, no, it's so true. And watching it, I'm gonna go and tell everyone, even if you've watched all the documentaries, you've seen all the things that we created, you still should watch this series because I learned more things than I didn't know didn't know beforehand. A lot more actually. And I want to know from you guys, what was one interesting thing that you did learn about your the respective leaders that you portrayed that you didn't know going in? One real interesting thing. I'll come back to you, Kelvin.
For me was the name change. The name
Really?
change.
About the Michael.
Yes, Michael. Like
Michael.
I was like, who, one is just such a fascinating thing to do, you know, and like we know he's like, listen, like we said, these are some two of the most famous black people in the world and on the globe. Like you know them, like Michael Jackson, sure, but like Dr. King and Malcolm X, yes, you know, and be to know that like that's not even that brother's name. You know what I mean? That was on his birth certificate. It's
Right.
kind of wild to me. And also, what was the story behind why the dad did it? But it's such a compelling narrative because it's so much about what his father felt he was called to do. He's like, you're set apart, you've been chosen. And I need you to understand that. And it starts with this moment right here. There will be things that you may not be comfortable with. There will be things you don't understand, but trust me, you will understand in the end. And I just thought that was just such a huge like lesson for all of us and 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 just being uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm.
You know what I mean in this life and finding our way through it. But that was crazy.
Yeah.
Michael King.
I agree. How
I
about you,
think,
Aaron?
I think for me, something that I discovered that I didn't know prior to, embarking on my research is that, we know Malcolm X, from the point in which he becomes Malcolm X, many of us do, but learning about prior to the point at which he found Islam, learning about the point prior to which he changed his name from Malcolm Little to what it is now. I think it's learning about that part of his history that wasn't necessarily so readily available, learning about Detroit Red and
Mm,
what that journey was, and one thing I learned was the the commitment, the determination, the forthright nature is something that he's always had.
Yeah.
In his what we might call previous life before finding Islam, the objectives and the journeys he embarked on then, he embarked on with the same rigor
Yeah.
and energy as he did when he found his new purpose. Malcolm Little and El Haj Malik Al Shabazz, they have the same energy,
Yeah.
mm,
but he just found a different purpose. He found what he felt was his true calling, and he went all the way. For Malcolm, it's 100 or nothing, and he stood on that.
mm,
No, phenomenal, phenomenal. One of the, you know, another thing that I loved about it is the storytelling in a parallel.
mm,
Every time it was just hitting me, seeing both sides of the same coin, essentially, right? And there's one particular episode at the end of it when Malcolm is writing to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then Martin is writing to his father. And I saw that from these two father figure kind of point of views and perspectives. I would like to know, coming back to you, Aaron, why do you think that was important to kind of showcase the importance of fatherhood specifically in this film, this series, excuse me?
I think it was essential, and I think it was critical because I think, you know, I think that is arguably not shown enough when it comes to our stories being portrayed in these mediums, film, TV, and theater. And I think it was so beautiful to have a moment where we shone the spotlight on these two great men that are known internationally all over the world. There's not a place in the world you will find someone who doesn't know these men and highlight their fathers and the inspiration and the guidance that was provided to them as young black men of that time. And I think that is something that I'm deeply proud of all of us for the story we told. But that is something that is particularly important to me to highlight that.
Yeah. And what I also really appreciate about it is there's this seeing the how the subtle differences in them, you know. I think there isn't one version of what fatherhood and a father-son relationship looks like. And what's so interesting about Malcolm's story for me was watching him have his biological father, but then Elijah Muhammad take on this like chosen father to some extent. And there sometimes we forget that there's someone that will look after us. There's someone that does see us. There's someone that is rooting for us. There's someone that is interested in guiding us. And as long as we find ourselves to be receptive of it and not necessarily fall into this place of, oh, all is lost for me. You know what I mean? We as a community will take care of each other. And is what I thought was so beautiful. Even with Daddy King, like Daddy King he's set on his ways. Daddy King has his ideas and what his plan is for his son, but it's all through love. And at the end of the day, it's like, but Daddy King's gonna be there no matter what. He loves his son. He's hard on his son, but he loves his son. And that's so beautiful. Like, no, I don't know. I just love the idea that we get to see it and kind of go, we're taken care of. We just have to be vulnerable enough to receive it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Listen, Daddy King was raw at that dinner table.
Oh,
I said, dang, who can't care? He didn't miss a step. No, for sure. And I love showing that. And then I also love to bring this up too is the episode titled Matriarchs, where they had like really this conversation on the women and their upbringing. And I think what I love the most about it is at the end of it, they kind of showed some parts of marriage and how that everybody deals with that, how they deal with that typical marriage and things like that. But at the end of it, on both sides, they came together and was like in love, right? They had love at the end of it. I do want to know why you guys thought it was so important for or why you thought it was great to have like women kind of more of the focus of the wives and to tell their stories a little bit more than we normally hear. Coming out. Oh, you want to go to you, Aaron? It
Yeah,
was
yes,
Kelvin
sir.
was looking at you, so I was like, oh, okay, he alley-oop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think it was entirely necessary and entirely crucial and critical that we did this because Dr. Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King, their role in both of these individual men's journeys is invaluable. I personally don't believe that either of those men would have reached the heights and achieved the things they did without those women in their lives. So I think it was only right that we highlight their personal journeys, their personal challenges and hurdles they had to go through in their own personal lives to arrive at the tremendous women that they became. So I think this series was something that needed to be done. I don't think there's any other way to do this series.
100%. I completely agree. And also, like, it's so cool. What I love about both of those women was the knowingness that they had, you know? And what I mean by that is that they never once doubted what the mission was. They never once doubted these men that they chose. You know what I mean? They could have chosen anybody else. These are beautiful women, beautiful, intelligent, talented women. They could have had anybody. They chose those two brothers and they lifted them up. They said, what do you need? How do we support you? And how can I further your mission? You know? And there's something that's just like, it lights a fire underneath them. Like the biggest thing we find too is, especially as men, is how do we feel safe and how do we feel supported, especially with all that we feel we have to carry. And not only do they carry it with grace, but they elevate. They say, let's further it. You know what I mean? It's just like, ah, like,
Mm.
No, for sure, for sure. I want to know what was the most difficult
Just so
part.
I'm sorry, brother.
Oh,
Just
that
just to
in,
just to alley-oop off that as well. I
please.
think that extended to Jamie and Waruche
mm-hmm,
themselves. Jamie held me,
I'm Ruche me.
like supported us, guided us, listened to us throughout this 6 months. And I just want to give them their flowers just for a moment here because it, I don't think I would have been able to get through that 6 months in the way that I did without Jamie present. And I'm sure Kel feels the same way. So I just wanted to say that real quick.
She was the only person that could talk me off a ledge, Waruche. I was sitting there being like, what am I doing here? I don't know what's happening. I shouldn't be here. I'm not deserving of this. I don't know. I can't lift. I can't embody this man. And Rusha would be like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, look at me. You're here for a reason.
Yeah.
Get it together and let's do it.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing today. And I'll be like, okay.
So kind of segue adding into that, what was the most difficult part for each of you of filming? Like what was really, really challenging? Come back to you, Kelvin.
Truthfully, it's the schedule. You know, like yes, the research is intense. Yes, trying to find a way in, but we love that part. And I think that is, and even to a certain extent, we understand as actors, like, and as storytellers, you know, you can only go as far as you allow yourself to go. And so that part's already taken care of. The real hard part is how do you take care of yourself while you're doing it? And Aaron speaks so beautifully about like how we've managed to like survive, you know what I mean, the shoot and like and survive going through how many years of time? Like it's just like every episode is like 2-3 years passes by. Like it's just nonstop. The workload is crazy. We did this in what, 5 months?
Yeah.
5-6 months. That was the hard part, is keeping up, you know?
But you
I couldn't even attempt to add on to that. I think it's like he highlighted perfectly what was arguably the most challenging thing. It was how do we protect our well-being in order to serve
Yes
the portrayals of these great men the best we can. That was the key.
So in 2024, how can Black men win in America? I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you, Aaron.
I appreciate you. I think I would like to hear Kelvin speak on this first, given he is a Black man living in America, and then I will speak on that afterwards.
Sure. Kelvin, alley up to you.
I'm the best though, because he's got his heart and his mind in the right place. You know what I'm saying? It's just cool. I just think that like, how can we win in America? How can we win? I think first of all, we have to know what are the winning qualities about ourselves. And I think that's the thing, is so often we get critiqued, criticized, judged, told that we're lesser, blah, blah, blah. We know the list of all the rude and disrespectful things we've heard about ourselves, but how do we remind ourselves that we are winners? What about us? What are the winning qualities that we possess, and how are we actively working on them every single day? Once we start focusing on the things that make us great, we're not going to be so affected by all the insecure conversations and opinions from others that don't want to understand or uplift you. And yeah. And listen, I'm on that journey as well. I love to listen to a critique because it's instilled in me that that's supposed to be something I should listen to in order to be an acceptable human being in this country. But once I start listening to the noise, my joy is on 20. My joy is on 100. I'm yelling right now. My joy.
Love it. I love it.
And I think what I am qualified to speak on is, given my personal experiences, the Black experience, within the UK. And I think for me, it's critical that we don't seek validation from outside of the community. And what I mean when I say that is, we can look to one another to be celebrated, look to one another to be championed, look to one another for the important feeling of being seen and being witnessed. Like Run Cephas Jones, rest in peace, rest in power. He was like a father figure to me throughout this process. And the one thing I will not forget that he said to me was, one day I saw him just early in the morning when we're about to go onto set. And I said, you know, normal things. Hey, how you doing? And he said something, and I said, I see you. And he said, it's good to be seen.
Mm.
And I will never forget that. It's important that we see one another, you know. And
Mm.
just speaking sort of on a different scale of the diaspora, I think it's just crucial that we hold each other, we celebrate each other and say, I see you over there in Australia. I see you over there on the continent, America, UK, other places in Europe. This is one team. This is one team. And together we'll get to where we need to get to. I have no doubt about that.
One band, one sound. That was Drumline.
Yeah.
To name an American classic.
Oh, man, exactly. My last, I guess, request for you guys is I want you just to complete this statement. And we'll do one for you, Kelvin, and then one for you, Aaron. And it's just Black men need, and just answer that for me. Kelvin, go ahead.
Community.
All right. Black men need.
Love.
That's it.